Welcome, students. Welcome to MJC Learning, where learning is fun. We are up today for our Standard 12th Economics and on chapter number 5, that is Forms of Market, Part 2. In the previous chapter or the previous part, we have learned about the basic meaning of market, wherein we have understood the differentiation of a market on the basis of time, place, as well as the other aspect. Today, in this part, we are going to understand briefly about perfect competition. Now, what is perfect competition is the idea that you will be getting after getting through the session throughout. So, let's get started. It has been said that a perfectly competitive market is one which has a large number of buyers and sellers having homogeneous product, and both the buyer and seller has the perfect knowledge of the market condition. Ideally, it is said that it is an ideal, or you can say the best kind of a market or competition, that is perfect competition, but this concept is an imaginary one rather than the actual market. So perfect competition is been defined by John Robinson. He says that perfect competition prevails when the demand for the output of each producer is perfectly elastic. Before this, we have understood that there are large number of buyers and large number of sellers, right? And under this market competition, whatever the price changes are, the demand for the output or the product produced by the producer, that with even with a smaller change in price, the quantity demanded will be infinite, and that is how it is being termed here as perfectly elastic, which says that even if there is a little change in price, the producer's output will be demanded infinitely by the consumer. So, let us move on to the features of perfect competition. The very first feature of perfect competition is large number of sellers and buyers. In our previous slide also, we have seen the very same word, that is large number of buyers and sellers. So let us take this as the very first feature of perfect competition. So under perfect competition, there are large number of sellers as well as buyer, and each seller has a a minimal part in the total market, and hence none of them is in a condition or in a position to influence the price as well as the supply. Now, price influence the price, about whom are we talking? We are talking about the buyer. The buyer will bargain the price, right? And when we talk about the supply, we are talking about the seller. So none of them, that is the buyer and seller, they are in such a large number that none of them can influence both the price as well as the supply in the market. That is why it is the large number of buyer and seller. The sellers are price takers under the perfect competition. Whatever is the price set by the market, the seller is going to take the price as it is. Why? Because since there are other sellers, if one seller is going to increase the price, even if he thinks to increase the price, the buyers will go somewhere else and purchase the commodity, right? And that is why the seller under perfect competition is a price taker. He has to take the price whatever the market has to offer for his product. Here, the number of sellers, just as they are large, even the number of buyers is also very large. So, even they can't influence the price in the market, which has been prevailing. Okay. So, moving on to the next feature, homogeneous product. It is said to be one of the very important feature of perfectly competitive market where the product is said to be homogeneous or identical. Identical, they are similar. Now, similarity in which all aspect? In terms of size, color, design, taste, quality, quantity, etc. Here we can say that all the products are perfect substitute to each other. In this picture as well, we can say all these apple, pears and other fruits. They look similar, they might taste similar, color, shape, taste, everything looks to be homogeneous. So if a person wants to buy this apple, this pear, they can purchase. If they don't, they can buy it, even the other one. Another example of homogeneous product is that of a wax statue of Salman Khan. It looks very much identical. We all know Salman Khan is one and the only person. He has no duplicate like this, very identically. So it is his statue, which we can say that they both are identical. Correct? It was just for you all to have a better understanding about the term homogeneous product. Okay. Now, moving on to the third important feature of perfect competition is that of free entry and exit. Now, when you listen or come across the term free entry and exit, it is of course of the firms with respect to the entry and exit in the market. So, let us, with that view, gain some more clarity about the concept of free entry and exit. It says that there are no barriers to entry and exit of firms, and that means any firm can enter the industry at his own will, and if they find in case of a loss, they can exit the industry as well at their own will, at their own wish. So, why will any producer will enter the market? It will be in the hope of earning profit. So, there is no restriction for any seller to come and enter the market and gain the profit. Nobody is restricting the perfect competition's sellers, and even if they are earning loss, if there is a possibility that the firm is gaining loss in it, the firm can leave the market at any point in time, and that is why it is said to be an important feature. That is, free entry and exit is a very important feature of the perfect competition. Moving on to the fourth important aspect of it is perfect knowledge. Here, when you talk about perfect knowledge, we are talking in terms of the market. So, the buyer and the seller, both the parties, should have the perfect knowledge, or you can say the idea, with respect to the market, the price, the product, and various things. So, the buyer and the seller in perfectly competitive market have perfect knowledge of the market conditions. Such knowledge will prevent the buyer from paying a higher price. That means if a buyer is having the idea what is the market price of the product he is willing to purchase, no seller can charge him the higher price. And that is why perfect knowledge plays a very important role when it comes to buyer's point of view. On the other hand, if a seller is charging a different price than what is been prevailing in the market, that means if he is charging less, nobody is going to purchase from him? Is that the case? No. So he is the person who will be gaining loss, right? And that is why even the seller should have the perfect knowledge that at what price the whole market is charging the similar product that he is selling. So in this case, nobody will be under loss, or you can say nobody can be taken the advantage of, and that is why perfect knowledge is important for both the buyer and seller. And the important feature is that under perfect competition, both the buyer and seller has the perfect knowledge about the market. Let us move on to the fifth point, that is single price. Single price, one and only price, uniform price. And when you talk about price, we are definitely talking about the product. So in perfect competition, all the commodity have uniform price. Why it has been said so? It is based on the previous point. You can link it with the previous point. Since both the buyer and seller has the perfect knowledge, the price will automatically be coming to a single or uniform price in the market. So the price is determined under perfect competition by the market forces of demand and supply. Yes, we are going to understand the price determination in this very session of our lecture. Okay, so just keep one thing in mind, that the under perfect competition, all the commodity has a single price, uniform price, and it is market force, that is the demand and supply, which helps to determine the price of the product. Let us look on to the sixth point, that is perfect mobility of factors of production. Now, what do you mean by the term mobility? Easily movable, right? From one place to another, when the things can be moved easily, it is called as mobility. When it comes to our perfect competition, we talk the perfect mobility in terms of factors of production. Now, what are the factors of production over here? In economics, they are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, right? So all these factors of production, that is land, we all know that it cannot move from one place to another. But when it comes to labor, capital, and entrepreneur, they should have the perfect mobility. Okay, so let us have a reading as to what it has more to say. So, under perfect competition, the factors of production, that is, again, it is mentioned here for your reference again, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur enjoy complete freedom to move from one place to another. Thus, they will not face any problem in the production of any commodity. Now, you must be thinking, ma'am, you have said that land cannot be moved from one place to another. But the factories, you can say another branch can be opened. If one is in Nashik, we can open another in New Zealand as well, right? So, in that terms, we can say that there is perfect mobility of factors of production. Moving on to the next part, that is no government intervention. There is no government intervention, as we have seen free entry and exit, as in when the seller finds the hope for profit, he can enter the market. And as in when, if he, in case he's finding himself in loss and trouble, he can exit, which indirectly means that there is no government intervention in terms of production, transportation, and price determination. The price determination can be understood with the help of the statement that the price is determined by the market forces, and we have already learned under single price, that was our fifth point under features of perfect competition. I hope you all are clear with all the slides as and when we are proceeding further. Moving on to the last feature, that is no transportation cost. So it is said that under perfect competition there is no transportation cost, and it is already assumed that all the firms are close to each other, so there will be no difference in terms of transportation cost, and therefore the price will remain constant. Now, I hope you all have understood why it was said that perfect competition is a unrealistic, or you can say imaginary concept, because some or the other feature are missing under the reality, or you can say the actual market condition. You can say few of the features are missing. For example, when it is said there is no transportation cost, can you say that in real or in actual market nobody is charging anything? Of course, it is not possible. So that is why perfect competition, though it is said to be perfect competition, but it does not exist in reality. All right. Now, let us learn and understand how price is determined under perfect competition. So before understanding how it is being dealt, we are going to first understand about the basic concepts. It says that the interaction of demand and supply determine the price of the commodity in perfect competition, known as equilibrium price. So the point E over here is the interaction of demand as well as supply at point E is called as equilibrium price. I'm going to explain you this, but for your better understanding, with the help of a picture, I want you all to understand what exactly we are learning word by word or point by point. Now, Marshall has compared the process of price determination to the cutting of a cloth with a pair of scissors. We all are have seen सीजर राइट, कैंची हमने देखी हुई है, उसके दो तरफ होते हैं. तो जब तक एक भाग कैंची का दूसरे भाग को इंटरैक्ट नहीं करता, तब तक हमारा वो जो पीस ऑफ क्लॉथ है वो भी कट हम उसे नहीं कर सकते, राइट? सो सिमिलरली ही सेज दैट जस्ट एज both the blades of scissor are required to cut the cloth, both the demand and the supply forces are essential to determine the equilibrium price in the market. यानी जब तक डिमांड और सप्लाई दोनों ही नहीं मिलेंगे तब तक हमारा इक्विलिब्रियम प्राइस, क्वांटिटी, डिमांड कितना हुआ, सप्लाई कितना हुआ, ये डिटरमाइन नहीं हो सकता. सो लेट अस मूव ऑन टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग as to how price is determined under perfect competition. We can learn this with the help of this schedule and the diagram, wherein the first column talks about price per kg of apple. It is in rupees, 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 300, 400 and 500 and so on. The quantity which is demanded in kg, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. Similarly, quantity supplied 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. On the basis of first three, we are going to understand the relationship between the demand and supply. So let us have a look at it. So when the price of apple per kg is rupees 100, the quantity demanded by the consumer would be 5,000, but the supplier or the seller will only sell 1,000 quantity or 1,000 kg of the apple, and that is why we can say demand is greater than the supply. We all can see both these numbers, 5,000 and 1,000. 5,000 is definitely greater than 1,000, right? 5,000 is the quantity demanded of the apple and 1,000 is the quantity supplied. So definitely we can say that at rupees 100, demand is greater than supply. Moving on, when the price rises to rupees 200, the quantity demanded is reduced from 5,000 to 4,000, but the quantity supplied has increased from 1,000 to 2,000 kg. But again, we can see that 4,000, that is the quantity demanded, is again greater than the quantity supplied. That is why we can say demand is greater than the supply. Then, in this, we can say that when the price of apple is 300 per kg, quantity demanded was 3,000 kg, quantity supplied was 3,000 kg, and both these numbers are equal. That is why demand is equal to supply. When the price again rises to 400 per kg, the demand is reduced further from 3000 kg to 2000 kg, but the supply will increase from 3000 kg to 4000 kg. Here, the demand is lesser than the supply. The relationship can be seen over here. Demand is lesser than supply. And when the price is further increasing from 400 to 500, the quantity demanded is 1000 kg, whereas the quantity supplied was 5000 kg, which again shows that the demand is lesser than the supply. So in this whole table, the whole schedule, we can see that with the increase in price, there was a decrease in the quantity demanded but an increase in the quantity supplied. But at one point, or you can say at the price of rupees 300 per kg, the demand and the supply was equal, right? We can see this. The demand is equal to supply, as it is been said in our previous slide. Just as both the blade of the scissor are required to cut the cloth, similarly, the demand and supply are equal at rupees 300, and this interaction is called as equilibrium price. Looking at from the very beginning, when this is our x-axis, measures the quantity demanded and supplied in kgs, and y-axis measures price in rupees per kg. So before the price was 1000, the quantity supplied was 100, 1000, right? When the price was 100, the quantity supplied was S is determining, right? This is S. So 1000 is supplied, and looking on further, the quantity demanded was 5000. Correct? Here it is 5000. When the price rises to rupees 200, the quantity which was demanded was 4000, but the quantity which was supplied was 2000. When the price rises to 300, the quantity demand and supplied are equal, right? And that is why 3000 and 300, here both the demand and supply is equal. Before this, there was excessive demand. This area represents the excessive demand, whereas the above area represents excessive supply. See, here is the demand, but here is the supply. Supply is far more greater than the demand, and the price is rupees 500. On the other hand, the supply was only 1000, but people ready to buy the quantity was 5000. So here the demand was excessive. This point is the supply. This point, this much is the amount people want to purchase, but the supply was less. Hence, it was the gap. The space is of the excessive demand, and this space is of the excessive supply. But our point here, demand is equal to supply, where the price is of course rupees 300 and the quantity demanded was 3000. So I hope you all have understood with the price determination under perfect competition. Let us go through with the features back again. First, large number of sellers and buyers. The second feature is that of homogeneous product. Third, free entry and exit. Fourth, perfect knowledge. Fifth, single price. Sixth, perfect mobility of factors of production. Seventh, non-government intervention. And eighth, no transportation cost. In our next lecture, we are going to begin with the imperfect competition part, right? So, in that, we are going to learn about monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic in our further chapters. So, I want you all to go through the whole chapter and begin with how to understand all these things. All right, go through all the chapters, and I wish you a happy and safe learning over here. All right, so till that time, keep learning and stay blessed. Take care.